Have you ever noticed that you keep falling for the same person over and over, just wearing a different face? A different name, a different job, a different city, but the same coldness, the same feeling that you have to earn their love, the same silence after an argument that makes your stomach drop. That's not bad luck. That's not a coincidence. That's your brain running a program installed before you even learned how to talk. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why this keeps happening, and more importantly, you're going to see the one thing that finally breaks the pattern. Let's start with a scene. Maybe you've lived some version of it. You meet someone. In the beginning, it's electric. They text you good morning. They remember the small things, your coffee order, the name of your childhood dog, the thing that scared you as a kid. You feel seen in a way you haven't felt in years. And then, slowly, something shifts. The text gets shorter. The warmth comes and goes, like weather. Some days you get the version of them you fell for. Other days you get a stranger, distant, irritated, somewhere else entirely. And here's the part that doesn't make sense on paper. Instead of walking away, you lean in harder. You start analyzing every text. You start performing, trying to be a little more interesting, a little less needy, a little easier to love. You tell your friends, it's not always like this. You should see how good it is when it's good. And somewhere underneath all of it, a quiet, exhausting question keeps looping: what am I doing wrong? If any part of that felt familiar, I want you to know something before we go any further. You are not broken. You are not too much. You didn't just have bad taste in partners 5 times in a row. Your experience has a name, and it has a mechanism, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let's talk about where this actually starts. Not in your last relationship. Earlier than that. Psychologists call it attachment theory, and the basic idea is simple. The way your caregivers responded to you as a small child becomes the blueprint your nervous system uses to recognize what love feels like. If you grew up with a parent who was warm sometimes and withdrawn other times, present when things were calm but distant, critical, or unpredictable when they weren't, your brain didn't learn that love equals safety. It learned that love equals uncertainty. It learned that affection is something you have to chase and earn and hold on to with both hands, because it can disappear without warning. That's not something you decided. You didn't choose it. Your nervous system built it for you quietly over thousands of small moments before you had the language to even question it. And here's where it gets deeper. Because familiar doesn't mean good. Familiar just means known. Your brain isn't actually wired to seek out happiness. It's wired to seek out the predictable, because predictable, even when it hurts, feels safer than the unknown. So when you meet someone as an adult who runs hot and cold, who gives you affection unpredictably, who makes you work for their attention, some old, buried part of your brain doesn't read that as a warning sign. It reads it as home. There's a term for the specific trap this creates, and it comes from behavioral psychology: intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. If a reward comes every single time you do something, your brain gets used to it and the excitement fades. But if the reward comes unpredictably, sometimes yes, sometimes no. You never know when your brain doesn't relax. It becomes hyper-focused. It starts chasing the reward harder than it ever would if the reward were reliable. Now apply that to a relationship. A partner who is warm every day becomes neurologically less thrilling over time, not because the love is less real, but because your nervous system stops treating it as urgent. But a partner who is warm sometimes and cold other times keeps your brain in a constant state of low-grade alert, constantly chasing the next hit of affection. Your dopamine system, the same system involved in addiction, gets hooked not on the person, but on the uncertainty itself. You start mistaking anxiety for chemistry. You start calling that racing heartbeat passion, when really it's your nervous system trying to solve a puzzle it was trained to solve since childhood. This is what psychologists sometimes call a trauma bond, an attachment that forms specifically because of the cycle of tension and relief, not in spite of it. The good moments feel incredible because they're a release from the anxiety the bad moments created. And that relief gets misread deep in your body as love. Let's ground this in something real. Picture 2 composite people, not any one person, just patterns therapists see again and again. One is someone who grew up as the responsible one in a chaotic household, a parent who was loving when sober, and unpredictable otherwise. As an adult, she's drawn to partners who need saving. She mistakes the exhausting work of managing someone else's chaos for the feeling of being needed. She's not choosing pain. She's choosing a role she was trained to play since she was 7 years old. The other is someone who grew up trying to earn a parent's approval that never quite arrived. Good grades, good behavior, still never quite enough. As an adult, he finds himself pursuing emotionally unavailable partners, the ones who keep him slightly off balance. He tells himself he loves a challenge. What's actually happening is his nervous system recognizes hard to earn as the only kind of love that ever felt real. Neither of them is weak. Neither of them is foolish. They are both running a survival strategy that once made complete sense. The tragedy is simply that the strategy that kept a child safe becomes the exact thing that keeps an adult stuck. And here's the twist, the part most people never get told. The chase itself is not love. That racing pulse that can't eat, can't sleep, can't stop thinking about them feeling, is very often just your nervous system in a state of anxious activation. Real, secure love is quieter than that. It doesn't spike your heart rate. It doesn't send you into detective mode, rereading text for hidden meaning. Real love, the kind that's actually safe, can honestly feel a little boring at first because your body has never been given the chance to know what safety feels like from the inside. That's the uncomfortable, freeing truth. If a connection feels like a roller coaster, that's not proof it's deep. It might just be proof that it's familiar. So what actually breaks the cycle? Not finding the right person. Not trying harder to be lovable. It starts with something much smaller and much harder, noticing the pattern while you're inside it. Noticing the moment you start performing to earn affection. Noticing when calm starts to feel suspicious and chaos starts to feel like chemistry. You don't have to fix your whole nervous system overnight. You just have to catch the moment again and again until catching it gets a little easier each time. Because the goal was never to stop feeling drawn to certain people. The goal is to finally understand why, so that for the first time, you get to choose instead of just repeating. If this is the first time you're seeing your own pattern laid out like this, sit with that for a second. It's not comfortable, but it's the beginning of something that actually changes. And if you're wondering what it looks like on the other side, what secure love actually feels like when you finally stop chasing the chaos, that's exactly what we're going into next.